Hey, good evening. Christy Mattoon here. In my garden, in my crazy backyard. There's my baby dog Taz and some of her little buddies. I'm going to show you my garden because somebody was asking me the other day. And I was doing quite a bit of this last season, going through the garden and what all we were trying to do. And I just haven't done it this year. Some would say lost my mojo, lost my desire, I don't know what I lost, but I lost something, but I'm trying to get it back. So that's the good stuff, I guess. So this is inside the big garden, and I'll walk you through it a little bit here and show you what we tried to do and what ended up happening. So the chickens are new to our happy abode, and there's 19 of them for some ungodly reason. And our backyard has never been like a real yard anyway, or like a grassy yard like all of our neighbors have. It was full of rocks when we got here, and we took the rocks out and the weeds have taken over, and sunflowers, and we just kind of let nature do its thing to see what would grow. So it's been actually kind of fun, except in some of these spots we put gardens. So this little area right here was supposed to be all Roma tomatoes. I think they're called Marziano Roma tomatoes. And what ended up happening was last year we had potatoes back here, and back in the corner back there we also threw, it was a pumpkin or something plant. You see that right there? I don't know what that is, but it's underneath the tomatoes. So, God bless it. There's a couple cherry tomatoes back here. We've been getting lots of really delicious cherry tomatoes. Taz, be nice. And the few Roma tomatoes that have turned red, the chicken flew in here and got, they are clipped at this point because a neighbor was complaining that they were flying into his yard and putting dirt on his grass. I am not joking you when I say that. If you find that funny, so did I. We have a few cucumber plants over here, and I'm getting a few cucumbers. Not as many as I hoped. And back here, you probably won't be able to see it, but there's actually a couple of really decent sized pumpkins. But there's also potatoes that came up from the previous year, which I haven't tried to dig any up yet. And then this over here was supposed to be butternut squash, and of course it's not. It's probably spaghetti squash, which neither one of us like a whole lot, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought I counted 6 the other day, but I can see 4 right now, plants. And so that's wonderful. Or fruits, so that's wonderful. So the birds will probably end up getting those. That is a sunflower, huge, and that's a sunflower regular. And then there's a whole field of sunflowers, all of which came up on their own. And they took over this area, which was supposed to have been a beet garden. So you can see a beet plant right here, and then there's a squash plant right here. So the beet's right here, squash right there. Didn't get very big. We've had a pretty cold summer, so the beets are not very large. Usually this time of year we get some really good sized ones. There's a decent one. This is an onion that sprouted. So I have onion seeds. So yay me for onion seeds. There's garlic back there that you can't see anymore. It's probably still in the ground. I never dug it up. I should have dug it up already quite a while ago. But didn't because of the squash, and honestly it wasn't the squash's fault. I was just being tired and didn't do it. So anyway, this was all supposed to be beets. And I don't know what you can see because the sun is so bright. We got a lot of these huge sunflowers. And then if you look down this walkway, there's a walkway right here, there's also sunflowers. And then these are just all different kinds of tomatoes, this whole area through here. I think I've got 5 different varietals. All started from seed, and then I have my electroculture gardening staffs in here. There's one back there. There's one right here. There's one over there that does not have a crystal on it. I also planted all kinds of onions from seed instead of from the little bulbs you can get right through here. And the chickens have either gotten in here and dug them all up, or I don't even know, eaten them. So there's not a ton left. There's one. There's a tomato. There's tomatoes all over the place. Look at all those tomatoes under there. There's tomatoes everywhere. There's a huge patch of grass growing back here that the cat and dog love. Hello, Mr. Sunflower. Tons of sunflowers. So we get tons of bees. You know, somebody would say you might want to get those sunflowers out of there because they cause a shade issue, which they do. There's a shade issue for some of these plants during part of the day. But we get tons of bees. So we're getting, I don't know if you can see in there, we're getting tons of fruit, right? Every one of these plants is loaded with tomatoes, which is kind of silly because there's only 2 of us here. So we share them with neighbors and whoever. I can a lot of this stuff. So now this is the part that made me super sad. Look at that guy. That's over my head. This whole area right here is over my head. Crazy. So this is my potato patch we planted this year intentionally. The other one on the other side is unintentional. And you can see it's just like, it looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex ran through here. And they jumped the fence even though they're clipped. They are way more mobile than I ever would have given credit for. But I came back here just to check because my husband was like, oh my gosh, you gotta go look. So I came to look, and this is what I found. So I brought a shovel with me, and I wish I would have kept it over here because I dug up a few areas. What is this? Oh, that's more. I dug up a few areas, and this is all potatoes. And there's another sunflower. And I have half a bucket of potatoes. And I hardly moved any of these. So we're going to have a lot of potatoes this year, regardless of the fact that the Tyrannosaurus Rex babies tore them all down. It's going to turn out just fine. So this is all of this. It's actually really kind of cool. Let me show you my bucket of potatoes. So I've got beets in here. Whoops. Got beets in here. Got a couple onions in here. And then potatoes. Yeah. So that's our dinner tonight. Is going to be farm fresh eggs, onions, beets, and potatoes. And why is that our dinner? Because that's what's in the bucket. Freaking fabulous. But I'm also going to dry those, that little seed thing. So I have my seeds for next year for that. Okay, so there's this. This was the big part of the garden that we planted this year. I've got many more little tiny sunflowers over there. Sunflowers everywhere. They came up all over the place. So we must have had some really happy birds. My husband tends to collect birds from all over, and they spread the seeds. So corn patch, this whole thing, Taz, was supposed to be corn. And they took some of it out. You can see where it's empty. But then there's a whole bunch that grew. And everywhere you see one of these, we got corn. There's a ton of corn in here. So my husband hand pollinated a lot of this because we weren't seeing a lot of bees. And we weren't seeing a lot of ants. The chickens ate the ants. So he came out and shook the tassels and made sure that stuff was falling in between the leaf and the stalk. So that's why there's so much corn in there. And there's a lot. Like there's corn everywhere. So that's cool. So we got a lot of corn. Taz found her bone. That was Tazzy eating her bone. These guys are trying to eat the beet grains, which you already ate all of, so thank you for that. Everything else we have crated in, chicken wired in. So this is a huge bed of lettuces. I'm not eating lettuce fast enough, obviously. It was a bed of romaine. So this is all romaine. It's gone to seed, so I'm going to catch those seeds. I put a few other little things of lettuce in here. And then there's basil and then a ton of beets. I really wanted the beets, so we tried to stick them in here, but it just hasn't been warm enough, long enough to grow them. This was a bed of kale, and I forget what that's called, but they were beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. There's my electroculture rod for this area. Something, though, is getting in here and eating these. And I'm guessing it's the grasshoppers because there's just tons of grasshoppers. I have picked this 3 times, this area, and fed it to the chickens daily. So it's not like we haven't gotten anything from it. And then when this area was emptied out, I put in seeds for more romaine because we love romaine. And then I'm going to go ahead and harvest the rest of this, freeze what's any good, feed the rest of the chickens, and then spread the romaine out. And then this was supposed to be my zucchini and squash bed. And we got some really beautiful squashes. Big ones, small ones, a few green ones. I take a lot of this stuff into work. At the kitchen my husband works at and I work at. See, there's a nice green one. I gotta come harvest a lot of these. Wow, leaves everywhere. Okay, you might not be able to see that one. There he is. And this is what happens in the corn. I don't know if you can see her in there. What are you doing? Yeah, I see you. Go ahead and squat and stomp, crazy. Yeah, squash everywhere. Sunflowers, beautiful. I mean, so we let this yard basically go, do whatever it wants to do, except for the areas that we're trying to maintain, and let nature have its way. Here's the swimming pool. It's supposed to be the dogs, but if you have chickens, you understand. This one is red romaine chives that I forgot I had planted, and a ton of basil. I know, I see you. I'll get you some food in a minute. You're okay. A ton of basil back here that I totally forgot I stuck in here, and then we got started getting 90-degree days and it came up. And then this has been spinach and will be spinach again. They like spinach more than anything, so that's spinach. This is their chicken coop, kind of looking into it from the wrong end. And this is a hutch that we had, a rabbit hutch, and we converted it into the brooder when they were teeny tiny, like little tiny babies. They all fit in here, every single one of them, and there was 20. Now we have 19. And I took the door off, but now it's where they lay their eggs. So we've got a few different places that they lay. What the heck is that? What on earth? Either somebody's having trouble or a different kind of bird got in here. I know, I hear you back there. Buck, buck, buck. Sometimes you come over here and open these doors and there's chickens in there. I've seen 3 or 4 of them at a time. What you doing, buddy? I know, I hear you. So it's kind of fun. So there's that. This is their little chicken pen. This is rhubarb. I've not harvested any rhubarb this year. It was about 4 feet high, that pile right there, until Henny Penny got hold of it. And then I wonder why that's down. It's the weirdest things you see. Oh wow. Something's been getting in there. I wonder if we're missing chickens. That is crazy. Alright, I got some work to do. And then this is the door to the main coop. They sleep behind that tarp. There's a structure under there. And then there's all places, more places they can lay in different areas. That's really strange about the wire being down. And then this is our raspberries. We have a huge raspberry area. And yes, more sunflowers. And actually more sunflowers down there. This is actually kind of cool. I got all these sunflowers. All of these came up from the last 2 years of we threw seeds down one year and now they just come up on their own, except these ones. And these are called chocolate sunflowers. I'm kind of facing the bad direction. Can you see them? None of them have opened yet. So I'm kind of curious to see what they look like. That's Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty. Hi, Miss Kitty. I know. So there you go. The porch is still an herb garden. Tons of flowers up there this year too. Just for our own hearts and our own mentality. We have tons of flowers. Lots of herbs up there. Lots of herbs in the front. And it's a lot of work. I do know that much. Chickens are a lot of work. So, but it's fun. We call this chicken TV. You come back here and sit, and you can just watch the chickens running around being crazy. Sometimes we feed them liver treats that the dog gets, and that's kind of fun. The dog doesn't think it's funny. I know, and Miss Kitty doesn't like them. Miss Kitty's like, what the heck is in my yard? Hey, sorry, Miss Kitty. But there you go. I hope it blesses you looking at this if you watch all the way to the end. And you get to the end of this, which is now, and you contact me by email, I will give you a free session. Just say you watched my entire video on my gardens and chickens, and give me the date, whatever today is, 8/9/2023, and I will give you a free heart coherent session to work on whatever you want to work on. My gift to you in this season of change, where the earth is going, nobody really knows for sure. There's different answers on pretty much every end of the spectrum that you can imagine. There's different thoughts on what's about to happen. One thing's for sure, the system's about to collapse. The food supply is running amok, so it's good to at least have a clue that you can do this kind of thing, right? Have some kind of idea that you know how to plant and harvest and let things go to seed and harvest the seeds. If you haven't ever done it, at least read about it, right? At least do something to educate yourself. And then if it doesn't happen, you know, if we are favored somehow by the gods, then good for us. But yeah, I think it's going to get good after the worst happens. I think it's going to get really good. I think it's going to be interesting if nothing else. So I hope this blesses you. If you want that free session, just give me a contact. Make sure you put the date of this video and that you watched it. And let me know what you liked about my garden. Comment below. Share if it behooves you. And we'll be talking to you again soon.